Christine Cushing and welcome to another helping of my favorite foods. Today I'm going to make for you the ultimate biscuit. I mean that one that's crispy on the outside, delicate, tender, flaky inside, the best of all worlds. And we're going to talk lamination. That is, how do I get those beautiful layers throughout? Who's ready to make some biscuits? Let's go. The first thing I do when I'm going to make any kind of pastry or biscuit is I take my fat, in this case unsalted, sweet, beautiful butter, and I put it into the freezer. Another step here is I've actually grated the butter, so that gives me a head start. What's going to happen there? If the butter is super cold, it's already broken up into those beautiful little bits, so I'm not going to have to touch the dough too much and get the heat from my hands into the dough. So the heat, what's that going to do? Melt out the butter, and then I'm gonna lose my lamination. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is sift, my other favorite thing. And here I'm using a combination of two flours. So a little bit of cake flour gives that extra tender touch. You know, when people taste your biscuits, they're gonna say, ooh, how come they're so tender? And you're like, it's a secret. Oh, go watch Christine's video, it's there. Now I'm using 2 leaveners for these delicate biscuits, a little bit of baking powder and some baking soda. The baking soda is going to react with the buttermilk and it's going to make them nice and tender. Now we sift. Look how aerated that is. It's now going back into my bowl, and now I add my sea salt. You can also go with kosher salt. This is going to give that little savory note. And just a slight bit of sugar. Confessions here, my pet peeve is too much sugar if something is supposed to be savory. So you want to just walk the line, but not too much sugar. This is maybe 10 grams at most. Blending. And now the fresh herbs. I love using all kinds of fresh herbs in the biscuits. This is some fresh thyme. I also love this recipe with fresh dill. You have to try it. It's amazing with the lemon, of course. You guessed it. Oh, the grated zest of 1 lemon is going to really give that, you know exactly, that thing I can't live without. Stirring again. Just blending everything together. Now I'm going to add that beautiful grated, cold, unsalted butter. What am I doing? No touching with the hands. This was the whole point of grating it and putting it in the freezer. So do not touch with your hands. Keep the butter cold. Again, just working it here to blend in the butter with the flour mixture. And I'm pressing a little bit here. I don't want to break the butter fully up, but I do want to blend it. It should look like coarse meal. Okay, that's looking perfect. Now going in with some cold buttermilk. The tang of the buttermilk is really going to be great with the lemon. Also, just that little bit of baking soda is going to increase that fluffiness and the tenderness. Okay, just stirring until it's just about ready to come together. And now I bring my plastic pastry scraper out and I'm going to transfer to my board. Now what I'm noticing here, compared to how I usually make this recipe, I can see that my flour is a bit stronger. That is, it had a bit more protein. That can happen. So I can tell that it's a little bit drier than it is when I normally make it. So that might happen to you. You may want to add a little bit more flour if yours is a bit more wet than this. But I'm just kneading gently. I don't want to press down and again melt the butter. Just pressing gently and gathering together. Might take a little bit of time practicing to get this right. I like patting it for some reason. Okay, now a rectangle I've formed, I'm going to cut into quarters. And now we're going to talk Lamination. You might as well start a drinking game because I am obsessed with this word. I don't know what's happening. So every time I say lamination, take a drink. Okay, you can see it's got some layers already. But what I'm going to do is stack these quarters to increase those beautiful layers. So let's just talk the truth here. Lamination is reserved for croissants, puff pastry, danishes, things like that, where it's a much more specific butter flour layering technique. This is a bit of pseudo lamination that's going to give me just those layers and height without the excess work and the trouble of doing real lamination. Okay, go to my metal pastry scraper here. It's really effective. And if I see that it's sticking, I'm just dusting very lightly with some flour. I want to avoid over flouring it. And this technique, I just use the weight of the rolling pin. I don't want to smash it down to kind of squeeze out the butter. I flip it over just to make it even. A little bit more flour, it's getting sticky. And again, the weight of my rolling pin. Now, once it's flattened a bit more, now I can roll again very gently. So that's looking good. That's about 1/2 inch to maybe a little bit more, but a little bit less than 3/4. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now I'm getting my baking sheet ready, so always lined with parchment paper, ready to go. And I got some choices. What size shall I use? That one's a bit too big. Is that one good? Maybe that one's best. But whatever size you choose. Round, crimped edge for this one. Make sure you kind of turn it around to get those nice edges. Oh, looking good. Let's see it again. Amazing. You could also just cut this into triangles if you want. So rectangles and then cut them in half to triangles. At this point, you probably want to get the oven on. And I bake these quite high, actually, 375. So they get that nice lamination. The question now is, how many of these biscuits can I eat? The answer is too many. So right away, you have to allocate who you're going to give these out to, because I don't know, I've been known to eat, well, at least 2, but depending on the day. We'll see what happens. Until they look like this. Oh, the aroma in here is off the charts. Look at these. Gonna let them cool for a bit. Come on in, have one. Look at those layers. You see what I'm talking, lamination? Get your gravy ready. Get your jam ready. Get your whatever you want to serve this with ready, because it's happening. Okay, I gotta taste it, right? But look at the beautiful golden color and the lamination. That's what I'm talking about. Those beautiful layers and that steam trapped inside. I mean, oh baby. It's all about that tender inside and that beautiful golden crispy outside. Already, just too excited to even talk. That is a thing of beauty. I mean, all those perfect layers, and adding that little bit of softer flour makes it so much more tender. It's the perfect kind of riding the line between a little bit savory with that thyme and the salt, and then just a hint of sweetness. And hello, you know, I can't make anything without lemon. I mean, I really cannot do it. You got to try these biscuits. And I don't know, let me know how you love them, because I'm gonna have a problem here. I'm gonna have to start going to my neighbors immediately, ASAP. Thank you so much. Please subscribe. Let me know what's happening in your kitchen. Like the video. Let's share. Let's build the channel. Thank you for joining me again in my kitchen for another helping of my favorite foods. See ya. Oh my. Crazy. Crazy.